Good morning. I have the pleasure to speak with you this morning a little bit more about building the bridge between early care and education and our K-12 or birth through 26 systems. So I recently had a conversation with a superintendent of one of our local school districts, and we're talking about early childhood, and he asked me, why should I care about this? And I get it. In the 25 years I've been in education, the context and the challenges faced in the K-12 space are different than they ever have been before. But I also had an opportunity to whip out some research, and research is my love language, so I always get pretty fired up when I get to do that. And it's overwhelmingly clear that investing in early childhood pays dividends later on in the educational journey. So we know that our students who receive high quality early childhood experiences are less likely to repeat a grade, less likely to be identified as having special needs later on in their schooling. They're more academically prepared, and they're more likely to graduate from high school. So these are strong student outcomes we're looking for in all students and benefits to society. Earlier this morning, we were talking about that kind of hard to define concept of readiness. And so building this bridge, I think, for our professionals here working in the early care and educational spaces, I think the other thing we need to consider is this bridge is important because we need to know where our kids are going. The context and the instructional environment of K-12 is different now. We need to have a foot in both sides of this. And so these key partnerships are important. So I want to talk about some of those key partnerships. The first one is early math and early reading. We know that early exposure to high quality math and reading instruction and experiences in early childhood builds essential skills later on in a child's schooling. So we spoke earlier that we have some representatives here who may have been involved with our GELN partners. And so I want to give a brief shout out to our early literacy and early math, the practices, the guides, the resources we have developed. This is a true partnership between K-12, our instructional leaders in those spaces, and our leaders in early care and education. So just briefly at your tables, could you raise your hand and identify your partners who have been involved in either developing this vast set of resources or the implementation? So just really quickly, if you could raise your hand at your table and acknowledge your peers. Great. So reading and math is important. I think if you spoke to most kindergarten teachers, though, what they would be looking for is a strong foundation and core competencies in social, emotional, and behavioral skills for their kindergartners coming up. So we know that's very important. So I want to shout out some partnerships here who've made a strong commitment to building our skills, our pro-social skills in the early childhood years as a foundation for later development and success in school, but success in life. So school and beyond. So one of those partnerships is with MDE, with our Michigan Multi-Tiered Systems of Supports partners. We initially had focused for years on implementation of MTSS at the K-12 level, but there was an increasing need and effort to scale up our implementation, and many of our ISDs have partnered with MyMTSS to scale up into the early childhood space to support social, emotional, and behavioral practices and core competencies for our youngest learners. So raise your hand real quick if you're an ISD who have partnered with MyMTSS in that work. And truly, the MTSS work is really unique, I think, in the educational space because we're truly bringing together multiple departments at your ISD. This is a truly an all-child effort. And so this is often where we see those silos break down between departments. I know it. I work at Kent, and this is truly a special ed department, teaching and learning department, early childhood department. It is a collaboration for the betterment of the system. So you heard Sophia talk earlier about inclusion. I know there's several people here today who are representatives from Special Education Instructional Leadership Network, SEILN. We know that our state is focusing on increasing inclusive spaces for our students with disabilities, or least restrictive environment as it's referred to in IDEA. LRE, it is clear, and a child's right to an inclusive space begins at age 3, 2.5 in Michigan, any child with an IEP. And this work is about the civil rights of students. And I think we talk about that. You know, I'm a special educator by training, and we can get very legal, and those legal rights are important for our students. But as a mom and a community member, I want to talk about the inherent human right to a sense of belonging. And this is an all-human thing. And this is what this work is about. It's about the inherent human right for our early learners to belong in early care and educational spaces and be able to grow and thrive alongside their non-disabled peers. Yep. So another key partnership I am proud of is the work we did through our preschool inclusion work group, led by Dr. K at his time at the MDE. And some work we did through a grant. We had coined Inclusion Builders through our former PDG 5 grant to put together a guide, an implementation guide, which serves as the roadmap for changing. Sophia had said earlier, in Michigan, we're not doing as well as we could. And we can and we must do better. And I think people want to do better, but they need to know how to do better. And this is the beginning of that work to lay out a roadmap for the system's change to move towards that setting.